You look at the golden boots, I think it's 3 Premier League golden boots. He's got 2 already for Bayern Munich.
I just don't think Didier Drogba and Harry Kane played the same sport.
And if Kane went on to Man City, he probably would have won, how many Premier Leagues have they won since that? 4?
England goes wrong, it's not Kane's fault. Tottenham goes wrong, it's not his fault. Tottenham could have won the league, Leicester win it, it's not Kane's fault. At what point does Harry Kane take responsibility?
Welcome to Settle It, the show where we go head to head to decide football's biggest debates once and for all. Today, it's a striker showdown. We have Harry Kane versus Didier Drogba, who is the ultimate striker. Representing Didier Drogba, we have Rory Jennings.
Honoured, thank you. This should be case closed, shouldn't it?
Well, we'll see.
I can't see how this isn't Didier Drogba. You know, there are certain strikers who you could put on the table where I think I would have a fairly difficult time making the case. With regard to Harry Kane, I just don't think Didier Drogba and Harry Kane played the same sport. Leaps and bounds above. This is in the bag for Drogba.
All fired up.
Okay.
And representing Harry Kane, we have Ben Bowman. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I've spent my life defending Harry Kane, so this should be pretty easy, to be honest. We've made good living out of it. We've had to as Spurs fans. We haven't got much else to show for it.
We've got 3 fiery rounds for you guys to get into. So the first one is going to be stats don't lie. So Rory, we'll start off with you.
I mean, this is just in the bag, isn't it?
Is it?
When it comes to stats, there just isn't an argument for Kane being better than Drogba. On every metric that actually matters. I don't want to hear about XG, I don't want to hear about pre-assists, I don't want to hear about vision, I just want to hear about the thing that we are actually in football for, the point of being a football supporter. The dream is to witness your team lift silverware, lift European silverware, lift domestic silverware. That's what we're in it for. And Didier Drogba was the master of that art, scoring goals when it most matters to change history, to make history. That is what Didier Drogba shone at, and then you look at the numbers. It's just ridiculous. It's goal after goal when it most matters, 4 Premier League titles, 4 FA Cups. How can there be a conversation regarding Harry Kane when we're talking about 4 league titles? How many league titles has Tottenham won, Ben?
In our history?
Yeah.
2.
Didier
Before I was
Drogba.
alive.
Didier Drogba's won 4. And look, I don't present that to you as a way to kind of belittle Tottenham's history. The first double and all, it is big. But you're comparing a club that have 2, which is quite impressive, with a man that has 4 league titles, 4 FA Cups. It's just a non-starter for me, this.
Yeah, but I throw the point back to you in the sense that, was it Kane's fault that Tottenham never got over the line and did that? The couple of title races that we were in almost happened by accident in a way in terms of us overachieving. Chelsea were a club that went out and spent a hell of a lot of money to be able to do that, whereas we never did that, giving Drogba the best platform to be able to deliver in those big moments where we were constantly letting Harry Kane down. Like, you look at the golden boots, I think it's 3 Premier League golden boots. He's got 2 already for Bayern Munich, 213 Premier League goals. If you're talking about goal scoring, fastest player in Europe's top 5 leagues to get to 100 club goals. I think I saw that it's the fastest ever any player has ever got to 20 goal contributions in a season, breaking Messi's record when he did it in a Ballon d'Or winning season. Like, we are talking about one of the greatest players to play in the modern era, not just strikers. I know you're going to throw the trophy stuff at me, and of course that does matter, but you've got to look at the difference in the 2 clubs, where Drogba was when where Chelsea were when Drogba came in. We were nothing really at that point. We've kind of overachieved with not being able to spend the money to give Kane the best platform that he can to help get Tottenham over the line. He can't do it on his own. This guy put Tottenham on his back for such a long time.
But didn't get over the line though. And you see, that's quite an interesting point, because Didier Drogba landed at Chelsea. Chelsea had gone 50 years without a title. We waited 50 years for to be the champions of England.
Yeah.
Didier Drogba arrives and it happens. So Harry Kane arrived. Harry Kane became one of the best strikers in the world, arguably the best striker in the world. But when it most matters, scoring those goals that make a difference, he ultimately shrinks in the biggest moments. And I think you're right. At various points, Harry Kane was let down by Tottenham, the infrastructure of Tottenham, no doubt. But there were also times when Tottenham were the best team in the country and they didn't get over the line. In those moments, his responsibility was to find a way to get Tottenham to that European Cup final. We've seen it with England. He is part, often, of one of the most gifted teams. He was part of one of the most gifted teams in the country with Tottenham. They won nothing. He was part of one of the most gifted England teams. He is part of one of the most gifted England teams.
Yeah.
They've won nothing.
I'd say with the Tottenham thing though as well, when Tottenham were the best team in the country, which we were, I'd say, for about 18 months, kind of back end of maybe that title race season with Leicester, where we were young, we were naive, inexperienced. Kane was obviously, that was kind of his second proper season. Still got the Golden Boot in that season, by the way, and got the Golden Boot the year after. When we went kind of toe to toe with you in that title race, I don't think there was, the following season, I don't think there was much Kane could have done to get over the line. He's scored against every Premier League team he's come up against. He scored in some very big games in that season. He scored against Arsenal, towards the back end of the season, scored against Man United as well, scored a lot of pivotal goals. Like, if you're talking about Kane in big games, he scored against basically everyone that he's come up against. I know people will say, oh, you know, like when we beat you in that 5-3 game on New Year's Day, for example, that's when kind of Kane exploded, and people want to tell me that he can't do it when the lights shine brightest. Of course he can. I think for England and for Tottenham,
we won the league that year.
Yeah, but we weren't even in that conversation at that point. Well, that was his first season kind of exploding properly, coming through the academy, and he did grab it. Scored a brace in the North London derby to turn it around that year, and his first proper season kind of playing for us. He can do it when the lights shine bright. I think there's definitely moments where he has not delivered for England, I think more so than Tottenham, because I think Tottenham, he's kind of got a little bit unlucky when it's come to the biggest games. Like the Champions League final, he wasn't fit.
Champions League final, okay, but then there are lots of other games. Like, we weren't a particularly good team at various points, and whenever we would meet, I feel like we would somehow we would always seem to come out victorious. Like, think about maybe the Cup final 2015.
Yeah.
We weren't a particularly good team. Okay, we won the league, but we weren't a particularly good team. We had Kurt Zouma playing in the midfield.
We had Fazio playing at the back.
Guys, who would you say defenders would fare the most? If we're talking about both strikers, who would defenders fare the most?
I think it's difficult because I think in different kind of styles of players. Kane is much more about kind of dropping a bit deeper, linking up play, kind of bringing his teammates in it, and then could obviously arrive in the box and finish. Whereas like Drogba was probably more of a physical presence. So if you're asking defenders, they'd probably have more of a difficult time against Drogba because he was one that wanted to feel the centre-backs a little bit more, kind of get touch tight, spin them, get physical, get aggressive, and that's what made him so brilliant. I mean, I witnessed that firsthand, that cup semi-final where he beat us 5-1 at Wembley, and he chested that ball down. Yeah, ridiculous goal, and Drogba was capable of that. But I think Kane, it was more about Kane's overall game that wouldn't necessarily strike fear into centre-backs. Of course he would make centre-backs for him through the sheer amount of goals he scored, but his game was slightly different. He wasn't as touch tight to the defenders. He dropped that little bit deeper to get the space to kind of create. So different types of players.
Do you know what's amazing? Do you know what's amazing here, Charlie?
Tell us.
I was about to make a case as to why defenders would be more scared of Didier Drogba. And I have a fair few reasons, and I think I can make that case valiantly, but not as valiantly as a Tottenham fan just made it.
But are there just different profiles of strikers though, isn't it? Like Drogba was more that kind of battering ram. I think the game kind of moved on a little bit. Kane was more of a Teddy Sheringham. You'd say, like, even though Teddy Sheringham went and won so much, look at the United team was in, you still could make the case that defenders would be more scared of Didier Drogba just because of the type of player that he was, not necessarily about his quality, and not denying his quality.
I think sometimes. I feel like the answer is unequivocally Didier Drogba here, but I think if you wanted a bit more nuance around the answer, you could argue it would depend on the occasion. If it was a game that was ultimately a dead rubber, you're probably more scared of Kane. He'd probably turn up. If it's a game that is going to win London its first ever European Cup final against Bayern Munich in Germany, in Munich's home stadium, when they believed it was theirs and the odds were totally stacked against us, then they're probably more scared of Didier Drogba.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard arguing Kane's case for you lot because it's always just come back to those moments. But like I said, it's difficult because I do think Kane got let down at a lot of moments by the circumstances and infrastructure at Tottenham. But I also think the fear factor does also come down to the fact they were different players if you do strip that away.
Do you know what as well though, Ben? Like, I think that when we talk about Harry Kane, we always acknowledge his contribution to the team, his vision, his range of passing. In terms of like the stats, Didier Drogba has scored more goals in the Champions League for Chelsea than anyone else. Also, assists. His assist record is absolutely ludicrous. And whilst we celebrate, and we often do celebrate, and we should, the link-up play between Kane and Son and Kane, they had that partnership.
Yeah.
The record that they broke was Lampard, Drogba, Lampard.
But that shows the level as well of Kane. I know there isn't a trophy to go with that, but that shows the level that Kane was operating at.
But it also demonstrates the vision of Didier Drogba as well, the selflessness for the team.
All right, guys, some really, really good, strong points there. And I could feel it warming up for both of you. But listen, we're going to move on to the next round now, which is hot takes. Okay. So you're both going to have an opportunity to give your hot takes for each of your ultimate striker. Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go. We'll start off with you, Ben.
If Harry Kane had played for Real Madrid, Man City, Chelsea, maybe, he would have won a Ballon d'Or by now. Like, you look at the consistency in terms of his goal scoring. I think being at a bigger club that's kind of got more pedigree and, you know, more experience throughout that team to kind of help them get over the line, to add to his trophy cabinet that he's gone and done now, he's obviously got a couple of trophies at Bayern Munich already, he would have won something by now, or certainly at least been in that contention to win more individual accolades. He's got the golden boots to kind of show for it, but if you're talking about, like, you see Kane right now, ranked 13th in the Ballon d'Or, that is just total and utter disrespect for the consistency in terms of goal scoring, his overall play as well, and that is when he's at Bayern Munich. But I think if he was at that top upper echelon Real Madrid, where they're winning Champions League back-to-back, he could easily score way more goals than Benzema did for that team. I mean, you think about the way that people kind of laud like a Benzema for what he brings to the team and his goal scoring and how close he might be in sort of those conversations. I appreciate that he also played his peak in an era where Ronaldo and Messi were kind of around. But if you're looking at this era now, if Kane carries on doing what he's doing, he will be in that conversation for me in terms of winning a Ballon d'Or. If he goes this season and wins a Champions League, which Bayern could do, the Bundesliga, which they will do and should do, then Kane will 100% be in that conversation. And I think that kind of proves the point as well about it's the stature of club that's been at that's held back his reputation as a player.
Rory, you got to take that's hotter than that. The Drogba.
I think that Didier Drogba, in terms of being a big game player, is the biggest game player, the best on this list that has ever existed, Premier League era.
Bigger than Ronaldo?
I don't think anyone Premier League era compares to Didier Drogba in terms of turning up when it most matters. And I think we can bring some very serious players into this conversation. Thierry Henry, probably, arguably at least, the Premier League's best ever player, incomparable to anything that Didier Drogba has done. In fact, shrunk when it most matters. Missed in Barcelona when he was put clean through. In fact, I think you could easily say that Freddie Ljungberg was a bigger game player for Arsenal than Thierry Henry. And when it comes to comparing, say, Thierry Henry to a player like Didier Drogba, whilst the beauty will belong to Thierry Henry, I think that in terms of doing it when it most matters, in terms of turning up in the biggest occasion, Didier Drogba is in a league of his own. It doesn't matter who you want to put on the table. Kane, Aguero, Henry, Bergkamp, Rooney, it belongs to Didier Drogba.
Well, I mean, Aguero arguably had the biggest ever moment in Premier League history, didn't he? Scoring that goal against
QPR.
Yeah, but Drogba's goal, you could say, I don't know, scoring against...
Aguero in Europe for City was crying in Portugal as we lifted number 2. He was crying, literally.
That was kind of at the end of his career, though, wasn't it, for City? Like, he left after that. It wasn't at his peak.
Didier Drogba, when it most matters, gets Chelsea back into a game in a European final, scores a ridiculous header. In fact, I'd argue one of the best headed goals I think I've ever seen, and then scores the winning penalty. That is about as clutch as you can get.
Yeah, I find it difficult to argue against Drogba's ability in big games, but I kind of come back to that point that Drogba was given that platform to be able to do that because of how aggressive Chelsea were in terms of building that squad and the quality around him. There's no doubt that he picked Chelsea up off the floor in certain moments, but I've seen Kane do that. He's put Tottenham on his back. It might not be in a final necessarily, but again, I still come back to this point that Kane was let down by the infrastructure at Tottenham to not be able to allow him to deliver in those big moments. And he's has a lot of bad luck in his career as well.
That argument is strong to a degree, but then it feels like it loses weight a touch when you think about the moments where he could have shone. It feels like it loses weight a touch when you think about his contribution to England. It feels like it loses weight when you think about missing a penalty in Qatar against France. It feels like it loses weight when you think about the ridiculously poor performances that he was putting in for England over and over again when we were in Germany last year. It feels like it's a really good argument built on strong foundations until you actually drill into it and you're like, I don't know, if Ivan Toney was leading the line for England last summer.
Oh, come on.
I'm not comparing them as players, but I just feel like Kane was either injured or whatever.
I think Kane, again, it comes back to luck a little bit. Kane has had bad luck in those kind of big moments throughout his career. Like Champions League final wasn't fit, got injured in the quarter-final against City. We made it there without him. And you can make the argument that he probably shouldn't have started that game, right, in the Champions League final, just purely off the fact that he wasn't fit. Euros last year, there was something not right there. Like that wasn't down to his ability or down to his mentality necessarily. But also for England, like if you think about the bulk of his England career, he has kind of been the best player in that team. Euro 2016, it was kind of the back end of Rooney. That was his first tournament as well.
Sorry, that weren't his fault.
Yeah, that wasn't his fault. 2018 World Cup, he won the Golden Boot, and people are going to argue like, oh, it was one of the worst Golden Boots we've ever seen. Goals going in against who was it? Panama.
It was one of the worst.
Yeah, it wasn't great. But again, that first group game against, was it Tunisia? The first game.
Yeah, the header.
We scored a brace to kind of turn it around. Well, we scored to put us 1-0 up, then got a last-minute winner in that game. Like, if you look at the quality of the England team around him, like there was so much pressure on Kane to kind of deliver, and nobody really expected England to be
Germany and Qatar. They're the two that I don't think I don't think do Kane any favours. I don't think does his England legacy any favours.
I think Qatar, it was a difficult one in Qatar because I think he played some of his best football in England shirt, but I think we'll all come back to that France moment, wouldn't he? But you can miss a penalty. Harry Kane I don't think it was to do with the moment. I think I've seen him miss a penalty for Tottenham. I've seen him miss a penalty against Southampton where he skied it over the bar. I've never seen anything like
But
that.
that's the difference I'm arguing, Ben. The most clutch moments is Didier Drogba in a cup final, Didier Drogba in a European Cup final. And it hits the back of the net. The most clutch moment, it's Harry Kane against his former Tottenham teammate in goal. I honestly believe he puts that penalty away. England knock France out of the World Cup and probably lift it in Qatar.
Yeah, I think
he misses it. You
probably
can
right.
directly trace England's last glory being 1966 is directly linked to Harry Kane's woeful miss.
You can miss a penalty there. These things can happen. It's not necessarily a reflection on your performance. I'll give you your due. Like, he hasn't turned up for England in some moments. He's not been as good as you want him to be. Like, we have this idea of how good Harry Kane is, and he is a phenomenal footballer. And yes, he's been disappointing, but he's not the only one in that England team. Like, I feel like there's always been so much pressure on Kane to kind of be the golden child to delivering them over the line. But we've seen better players than Kane, arguably, in an England shirt, or certainly players that have kind of gone on and won things like Rooney, Lampard, Gerrard, etc. also fail for England.
All right, guys, I can see you're both getting steamed up and you've definitely got some really valid points that you're both putting across, but we are going to take it on to the final round now, which is Flip the Facts. Are you guys ready for this one?
Ready.
I am going to provide you with some unfavourable facts for each of your ultimate strikers, and you're going to come back with something more favourable.
Okay.
While we're talking about Kane as well, let's think about the droughts in big tournaments. So you did mention about the Champions League, him being injured. What about 2016 as well for the Euros? 0 goals.
It was his first tournament as a international player. 2018, like I said, he scored the Golden Boot. 2020, he scored a massive goal against Germany. Like, again, if you want to kind of flip the argument about, okay, it might not be the volume of goals, but it's sort of delivering in big moments. Kane scored the goal that got us through to the quarter-final of the Euros against Germany. He scored that goal to seal the game. And then he scored in the semi-finals to get us through. He might have missed the penalty, but he put in the rebound. Like, he still delivered in that moment. The final was a very strange performance where, again, I think he was let down by the quality around him and the manager making some strange tactical decisions to not allow England to get over the line. Again, even though the expectation kind of still falls on Kane, like, for some reason for that tournament.
Just to pick up on that, right? Do you, even when you're making a case for Kane, even when you're trying to defend him, do you not think that in those circumstances, he needs to just take it on himself? So, you know,
well, okay, for the goal in that final, right, Luke Shaw scores. Kane's the one that drops deep, picks the ball up, sprays the ball out to Trippier, who crosses it, and Shaw scores. He's like heavily involved in that goal.
What about the final against Spain and Germany?
Yeah, it was poor. Again, we come back to that. I think it was a fitness thing. He got hooked on 60 minutes, and that was probably the right decision. I can say that at that point because he didn't play for my club at that time, so it's a lot easier to go, maybe we should bring Ollie Watkins on, actually. But it's like you still see England fans doing it now. It's like, oh, we should move on from Kane. Like, Watkins, Tony's there. It's like, who on earth is in the pipeline to be able to go and take the mantle on?
I don't think that you move on from Kane, but I also don't think that Kane wins us a tournament. I think that Kane starts, but you know, when I think about the match winners for England, when you think about the World Cup next year, like, so enticing, isn't it? The World Cup in America, going to be sensational, going to be like probably the World Cup of our era, like the one that we can all like dream of. I honestly think that whilst Kane starts for me, if England have a successful tournament and we win it, it won't be him. It will be Cole Palmer, it will be Bukayo Saka, it will be Jude Bellingham. Right. It won't be Harry Kane, because we have countless data to suggest that whilst he is the best striker for England, no doubt, when it really matters, we're relying on a magician like Cole Palmer or a magician like Jude Bellingham to actually win us a tournament more than it being Kane.
All right, we'll look at Didier Drogba now. Unfavourable fact.
Be carefully.
All right, send out those warning shots. I mean, despite Drogba being one of the Premier League's greatest strikers, Drogba only scored 20 plus goals twice, which was in 2006-7 and 2009-10, and he was there for 9 seasons. Whereas on the flip side, Harry Kane done it in 6 seasons.
I think these are quite good stats for Didier Drogba. I don't find them bad stats at all.
Why?
Scoring over 20 2 seasons. Bearing in mind, you say he was there for 9 years. That includes going off to Galatasaray, coming back, having a season where he barely featured and was sort of more of a presence in the dressing room than a key factor. But Didier Drogba's responsibility in the team was obviously to score goals, but it wasn't his sole responsibility. So if you were to analyse those seasons, and if say you were to pick one of those seasons where he scored his lowest tally, I guarantee you that Frank Lampard would have still scored over 20. And part of the reason that Frank Lampard would have still scored over 20 was because of the selfless nature of Didier Drogba. Didier Drogba elevated the performances of the team. And Didier Drogba made Chelsea one of the most potent attacks in Europe for basically the entire time that he was at the club. Whether it's the form of Arjen Robben, whether it's the form of Joe Cole, whether it's the form of Damien Duff, whether it's the form of Frank Lampard. However many goals Didier Drogba scored, I guarantee you that the team scored a bundle of goals because he was in the team.
Right. Yeah, but you could say that about Harry Kane as well. You go back to the 2021 season where, again, you mentioned Kane's kind of consistent, prolific goal-scoring record. The season where he was robbed of Player of the Year for some reason, where he got the Golden Boot and the most assists in that season. You look at the quality around him in that 2021 season, it was a really, really poor side. So if you want to talk about kind of delivering when all of the expectation is on you, of course, again, he didn't have a trophy to show for it. That was another year we had another final where, again, he wasn't fit. Again, luck does come into this a little bit. Harry Kane did so much for our team as well as scoring the goals. To be able to get the most assists and win the Golden Boot in that season was one of the best individual seasons that we've ever seen, that warranted him getting that, well, potentially getting that move to Man City that summer where he kind of angled for it. And I don't think any Spurs fan would have begrudged him that. And if Kane went on to Man City, he probably would have won, how many Premier Leagues have they won since that? Four? They won 4 in a row, didn't they? Including the one that they won the year before that. He would have 3 Premier Leagues to his name, and we'd be looking at him as arguably one of the greatest players ever to play in the Premier League, not just greatest goal scorer.
We can do that. But what we can't do is compare him to Didier Drogba. I think everything that you said there is true about Kane. The point that you made earlier was valid. I think he, on some level, deserves a Ballon d'Or. I really do. I just don't think he is comparable to Didier Drogba.
All right, well, guys, listen, that was 3 great rounds. You guys got some really great points across. I am going to give you one last opportunity to get across a closing statement for each of your strikers. So one bold statement. Who wants to fire off first?
Harry Kane, greatest striker in Premier League history. He'll come back, break that record, and they'll be an immortal. And you can't argue with that. He was let down by the team around him, not being able to build on the amazing quality that he had. We never really built around the best player that we've arguably had in our history, and you did that. I'm not saying Drogba was the best you've ever had, but you spent a lot of money to assemble that squad that gave Drogba the best platform to succeed, whereas we did the total opposite. And he still delivered year after year, goal after goal, Golden Boot after Golden Boot, incredible performances year on year. Just because he didn't have any trophies to show for it at Tottenham, that shouldn't be held against him in terms of his legacy for what he did goal scoring wise in the Premier League. An amazing player, amazing goal scorer. And I think maybe Haaland will break that record, but it's not going to be broken for a long time if Kane comes back and does it, which I think he will. And win something with Tottenham as well, obviously.
I just think when you're comparing centre forwards, when you think about iconic centre forwards, it always comes down to moments. It always comes down to that goal that you can think of immediately. If I say Wayne Rooney, immediately it conjures up images of a particular goal. If I say Georgie Weah, it immediately conjures up images of a particular goal. If I say Hernan Crespo, if I say Zlatan Ibrahimovic, if I say Samuel Eto'o, you immediately think of a moment.
Yeah, but that's not pretending Kane hasn't got one of them. North London Derby, we took the mask off. That was an amazing goal and a massive, massive game.
No, these are the iconic moments that I'm talking about are goals that were scored that ultimately counted for something. Lead you to a league title, lead you to a European Cup, lead you even to an FA Cup. You can score 1 billion goals for Tottenham if you want. But if ultimately none of those goals count for anything, what is the point in scoring those goals? We scored 1 billion goals for Tottenham, none of them counted for anything. Didier Drogba shouldn't be compared. This isn't the conversation we should be having. We should be comparing Didier Drogba to some of the best strikers that have ever lived. Not a geezer who's won one Bundesliga title and apparently a German Super Cup, but I didn't even know how.
All right, guys, so on that note, do you want to settle it here?
Yeah, I'll settle it. Didier Drogba.
Do you want to settle it?
Yeah, I'll settle it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So
you're gonna do the right thing. Be the man you want to be.
No, I will be the man I want to be. Harry Kane is a greater player and striker than Didier Drogba.
It just can't be true. It's just all of
So you're still backing Kane?
Yeah, of course I will.
You're not
I've backed Kane
settling
my
to
whole
say,
life.
do you know what? Rory, I agree with you. Drogba.
I thought Rory was going to settle it, but yeah.
I am settling it. I'm saying that if you want to compare Didier Drogba to another striker, it should be somebody on his level. Like this would be the equivalent of us having a conversation here. Is it Lyndon Dykes or is it Didier Drogba? Is it Harry Kane or is it Didier Drogba? It's not that. Didier Drogba is comparable to the very best players and the very best strikers who have something to show for their legacy in the game. This just isn't a debate.
Champions League, biggest stage.
He's done it lots of times. He scored at the Battle of the Bridge when you collapsed and ultimately it meant nothing. on Harry Kane's watch. You're 2-0 up at Stamford Bridge, the league title's in your grasp. Harry Kane, the best striker in the world, best striker to have ever lived. Ultimately, the game finishes 2-2 and Tottenham bottle it.
Yeah, that's not his
all on
fault though, is
Kane's
it?
watch.
How's that his
It's
fault?
never his fault.
But how is that his fault?
England goes wrong, it's not Kane's fault. Tottenham goes wrong, it's not his fault. Tottenham could have won the league, Leicester win it, it's not Kane's fault. At what point does Harry Kane take responsibility? Didier Drogba took responsibility and said, do you know what, I should have done more with the Ivory Coast.
All right, guys, listen. From the sounds of it, I don't feel like either of you are going to settle it.
No.
So I'm going to have to take control and
Okay.
I'm going to settle it. You both got some really good points across, you know, for each of your strikers. And to be fair, I mean, trophies do say a lot.
Oh, here we go.
You know, so I'm going to settle it here and now. I'm going to say the ultimate striker is Didier Drogba.
This is ridiculous.
Just out of curiosity, how many trophies has Arteta won?
Listen,
I was
this
gonna
is not
say,
about
I was
Arsenal
gonna- yeah.
right now. But listen, I want to thank you both for being on the show. Thank you, Ben, for representing Harry Kane.
Pleasure.
And thank you, Rory, for
Fair play, mate.
representing Didier Drogba. And thank you to all of you for watching. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we'll be back again soon. Bye for now.